Let's be real. Trying to memorize a bunch of confusing tech terms is, well, it's boring, and it doesn't really help. So today, we're going to do something different. We're going to build a mental model for your online safety. Together, we're going to construct a digital fortress, piece by piece, so you can really understand what a complete defense strategy looks like. So let's just start with a really direct question. I want you to think about your entire digital life. Your emails, your photos, your bank accounts, all of it. If all that was treasure sitting inside a fortress, how strong are its walls? Are they solid, or are there, a few cracked stones? Maybe some unlocked gates? That's what we're here to figure out.
Okay, so every great fortress starts with its outer defenses. This is what we call the perimeter. It's that first line that stands between the entire outside world and everything you want to protect. It is all about stopping threats before they can even get close.
But before you even lay the first stone of your fortress, a smart ruler sends out scouts, right? They send them out to find the weak spots in the terrain. In our digital world, we call that ethical hacking. It's all about being proactive, finding the holes in your own defenses and patching them up before a real attacker ever gets the chance.
And this visualizes that idea perfectly. The official name for this is penetration testing, or pen testing for short. It's literally like you're hiring a team of experts to act like the bad guys. They try to break into your own fortress, and then they come back and hand you a map showing every single crack and vulnerability. This is so crucial because it shows you the weaknesses you probably never even knew you had.
So, once we've scouted the landscape and we know where the weak spots are, it's time for our active, always-on defenses. It's time to actually build the walls and post the guards that are going to protect our fortress day in and day out.
And here they are, our two most important defenders. Think of a firewall as the main gatekeeper. It stands at the gate and inspects every bit of traffic that's trying to come in or go out. If anything looks suspicious, boom, it's blocked. Then you've got your anti-malware. These guys are like the guards patrolling inside the walls. They're constantly scanning for any malicious code or software that might have snuck past the gate, and they're ready to neutralize it on the spot. So you see, they have different jobs, but both are absolutely vital.
Okay, our perimeter is looking pretty strong, but what happens inside the fortress? Because, strong walls don't matter much if you're just handing out keys to the wrong people. And that brings us to our next really important layer, controlling the keys.
This is such a simple but brilliant security principle. You wouldn't give a random visitor the key to the royal treasury, would you? Of course not. An administrator, well, they get the master key. A teacher's key might only open their classroom, and a student's key, just their own dorm room. This whole idea is called the principle of least privilege. You only give people access to what they absolutely need to do their job, and nothing more. It's critical for limiting the damage if an account ever gets compromised.
So the big question is, how do we even know who's holding the key? Well, that's the job of the password. It's the #1 way a system verifies that you are who you say you are before it even thinks about unlocking any doors for you. It's that fundamental check at every single point of entry.
But here's the thing. Not all keys, or locks for that matter, are created equal. Using a simple, weak password like password 123 is like putting a flimsy wooden lock on a heavy steel door. It's pointless. A strong password, one that's long, complex, and unique, is a much tougher lock. But if you really want to get to a modern vault door, you have to add multi-factor authentication, or MFA. That's a second layer of security like a fingerprint scan or a code from your phone that someone needs in addition to your password.
So here's your quick and dirty guide to forging those unbreakable keys. First, make them complex. Mix up uppercase, lowercase, numbers, symbols, the whole shebang. Second, and this is huge, never reuse your passwords. If one account gets breached, you don't want to hand thieves the master key to your entire digital life. Just use a password manager. It'll handle all this for you. And finally, wherever you see the option, turn on MFA. Seriously, do it. It is one of the single most effective security upgrades you can possibly make.
All right, we've secured the perimeter, and we're carefully controlling the keys. Now we finally arrive at the very heart of our fortress, the treasure vault. This is where the crown jewels, your actual data, are stored. Protecting the data itself is, well, it's the ultimate goal of all of this.
So how do we make the treasure itself secure? We use a kind of secret language called encryption. It might sound intimidating, but it's really just a simple 4-step process. You start with your normal, readable data. That's called plain text. Then you use a complex mathematical algorithm to scramble it into unreadable gibberish. We call that ciphertext. And here's the magic. That ciphertext can only be turned back into readable plaintext if you have the specific secret key.
And this slide shows that process beautifully.
Even if a thief somehow manages to get past your walls, get past your guards, and steal a message right out of your vault, encryption ensures that all they've really got is a locked box. Without that key, the data inside is completely and utterly useless to them. And that's why it's so incredibly powerful for protecting private information.
But we can't forget one last thing. It's easy to forget that all of this digital data, it actually lives on physical hardware. It's on servers in a data center, or maybe it's just the device in your hand. So the treasure vault itself needs real-world protection. We're talking secure rooms with controlled access, surveillance cameras, physical locks, the works. Digital security and physical security have to go hand in hand.
So, as we start to wrap this up, the most important thing I want you to take away from all this is that no single defense is foolproof. A strong digital fortress isn't about having one perfect wall. It's about having multiple, overlapping layers of security that all work together.
So let's just run through our layers one last time. We started with proactive scouting through penetration testing. Then we built our walls and gates with firewalls, and we set up our internal patrols with anti-malware. After that, we controlled access with user levels and strong passwords with MFA. And finally, we secured the treasure itself inside the vault using encryption and physical security. You see how each layer supports the others? That's what creates a powerful, resilient defense.
And that brings us to our final thought. Now that you have the blueprint of what a digital fortress looks like, the real question is for you. Which of your walls is the weakest? Is it your passwords? Maybe a lack of anti-malware? Because finding that weak point, that's the very first step to building a truly secure digital life. Thanks for joining me.